I want to continue our discussion on tear-out and replacement coverage. And if you remember from our previous discussion, most tear-out and replacement provisions require you to have a covered water loss before you can trigger coverage and open up coverage for tear-out and replacement costs. And a water damage endorsement is an easy way to demonstrate coverage for water damage and trigger that tear-out and replacement cost coverage. But what happens when you don't see a limited water damage endorsement on the policy? And that policy also contains a water damage exclusion. Okay? So what we have to do next is we need to figure out whether or not it's game over if you have a policy that does not have a water damage endorsement when faced with this water damage exclusion. So let's take a look at a water damage exclusion. The policy in this long list of exclusions will say we do not insure for damage caused by water, and then it will go on to define what water damage means. And so let's go over that. In this particular policy that we're looking at, water damage is defined to mean three different things. The first, under Section A, is water damage is flood, surface water, waves, tidal water, overflow of a body of water, or spray from any of these, whether or not driven by wind. Let's go to the next one, B. Water or waterborne material which backs up through sewers or drains, or which overflows or is discharged from a sump pump, or other related equipment. Now this one sounds a little troubling because what we're talking about is a cast iron pipe loss where there's a blockage in the pipe because of the failure, and now you have water backing up into the house. So this one sounds a little problematic, but let's keep going. Subparagraph C says water or waterborne material below the surface of the ground, including water which exerts pressure on or seeps or leaks through a building, sidewalk, driveway, foundation, swimming pool, or other structure. So let's figure out what this definition really means. And before we get deeper, I want to provide you with a little bit of contract interpretation. And it's a principle of contract interpretation that means that when you have a list, when you create a list in a contract, that list of those list of things have to be read in conformity with one another. They have to make sense, okay? And a policy is a contract. So contract interpretation principles will apply to the policy. So let me give you an example. Say I had a contract with you, and in that contract I created a list of birds, and say I listed number one, a crane, a blue jay, a robin, and so forth. And then say a dispute arose between us, and later on I wanted to come back and say, you know, when I said crane, I wasn't talking about the bird, I was talking about a construction crane. Well, that's not how you read policies, and a court would interpret it to mean crane is in the bird, because obviously a construction crane would be nonsensical if you had it on a list of birds. The list has to be read to make sense, which means it has to be read in conformity with one another. So let's look at this water damage exclusion and definition again to see what subparagraph B really means. Okay, so again, paragraph A says flood, surface water, waves, tidal water, overflow of a body of water, and so forth. All right, let's skip over B because that's the scary one. That's the one that's given us a little bit of trouble. And let's go to C. C is defined as water or waterborne material below the surface of the ground. All right, so what do A and C have in common with each other? Both A and C are dealing with water that originates off the resident's premises, off of the insured premises. And that's important because when we go back and we look at subparagraph B must only be excluding as well water that originates off the premises. So when you read all that together, subparagraph B means water or waterborne material which backs up through sewers or drains, and we're talking about water that originates off the premises. Now let's bring it back to the context of the type of claim or loss we're talking about with a cast iron pipe claim. We're dealing with a loss caused by a failed or deteriorated pipe located on the insured premises. And now let's figure out where the water came from. Well, the water would have come from some type of fixture in the building, whether that's a faucet or toilet or a shower, whatever it may be. The water originated from inside the house on the insured premises. And then the next question is, did the water ever go off the insured premises? And the answer to that is no, because the failure in the cast iron pipe is located on the insured premises. So we have water originating on the premises, going down the drainage system until it reaches the blockage caused by the failure, and then it backs up into the house. And so what we have here is a loss caused by water that originated on the premises. And the scary one that we were just looking at, subparagraph B, does not apply because subparagraph B only applies to sewer backups for water that originates off the premises. And so this water damage exclusion does not exclude coverage for this type of a loss, as the insurance company might want you to believe. And we'll get into a little bit more about limited water damage endorsements in my next discussion.